and welcome to the private podcast. In this episode, we're going to explore a case study of a physician coach inside a physician coach training. And we're so delighted to have Laurel Kilpatrick here today. Laurel, introduce yourself to the group and the listeners.
Hi, I'm Laurel Kilpatrick. I'm a palliative care physician and trauma-informed coach who helps women physicians get funding and protected time for their passion project so they can amplify their impact as leaders.
Amazing. So beautiful. Love that messaging. And tell us about what got you interested in physician coach training and learning trauma-informed skills.
So I actually became interested in some trauma-informed care through my practice as a palliative care clinician. We've had more information, more data coming out about integrating trauma-informed practices into our medical practice. And so when I saw your advertisement for becoming a trauma-informed physician coach, it aligned really nicely with some of the things that I was experiencing at the time, transitions in my career, and also trying to unpack prior experiences that I had that would also help me improve as a coach.
I am shocked and love to hear that trauma-informed practices are making their way into medicine. So, as you were hearing about it, what was the lens there? Learn these techniques to be a better physician. In what ways?
Yeah, so in the palliative care realm, at least we have had actually one of our national organizations and one of my colleagues and friends created a trauma-informed blog and package, a skill set for physicians. So at the Center to Advance Palliative Care, our trauma-informed toolkit is what they called it. And the focus was really on trying to understand where patients are coming from, whether it's adverse childhood experiences, whether it's inequities in healthcare, inequities in life that have brought trauma, and how
Mhm.
that comes into the healthcare space. But I think the lens that I was interested in was as a physician, knowing we're traumatized throughout courses of our training. There are things that we may have life experiences for that may be traumatic that we have been taught to normalize or compartmentalize or just ignore and move on
Mhm.
that potentially negatively impact our relationships in life and also how we take care of patients.
So beautiful. So for some listeners, they're going to hear about trauma medicine and that will have been a totally new concept to them because this is kind of cutting edge. So I applaud your center that they're recognizing and bringing in tools. But if you were to explain trauma in medicine as a practice, like for physicians, what would that look like? What does trauma in in medicine look like?
I think the way that we experience it, or at least the way that I can say that I have experienced personally in healthcare, is being put on the spot in rounds as a learner. Some of that
Mm,
shaming that we would
yeah.
get at the bedside if we were being pimped in those old terms, and
Yeah.
not knowing all the answers. That kind of embarrassment and
Hmm.
shaming, I mean, it's shaming on
Hmm.
rounds.
Yeah.
That is one arena where I think we're also doing good work as educators to hopefully get rid of some of those old practices, but that's still
Yeah.
embedded in the culture of healthcare.
Yeah.
The other place I've seen it recently, and I actually just gave a talk on this. It was an experience I've never really talked about publicly. But as a palliative care clinician, sometimes we are in conflict with our teams. Our consultants who ask us to come and talk with patients and families,
Mhm.
those patients and families may be more ready to transition to comfort care than the
Mhm.
medical teams. And we're sitting in the midst of
Mhm.
that conflict. And I had an experience several years ago where an attending was very upset with me after having a family meeting with another colleague in the room. We had done everything appropriately, but this physician was really invested in his patient's care, but in an unhealthy way. And I was yelled at and backed up against a wall and a very physical
Yeah.
interaction. And it was the first time anything like that had happened to me,
Mhm.
but it has stuck with me all these years. I had great support. We had immediate feedback. There were all the right things
Mhm.
happened.
Mhm. Mhm.
But for me, I pushed those experiences down, normalized them, didn't process the emotions that went
Mhm.
with it. And eventually, I think it led to some unhealthy coping habits that contributed to my burnout and needing to take
Mhm.
a leave of absence a few years later. And so I think those are some of the experiences we know working in the emergency department can be hazardous for your health in terms of violent behaviors interactions with each other, these things tend to show up and we just sort of accept it as normal in the course of stressful healthcare, and it doesn't have to be.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's something I definitely relate to. So if a woman physician were to come to you, I've been yelled at, physically maybe threatened or pushed by by anybody, but let's say a superior, how could you help them through that trauma? What would that look like to support them there?
First is checking in with them to make sure that they are in a safe place,
Hmm.
that they have gotten one away from the situation.
Yeah.
And especially if I'm supporting them, certainly in person, if this was a colleague at work who
Yeah.
had come to me for support, I think asking those questions, are you in a safe place? And who are the trusted people in your space
Hmm.
that we need to talk to?
Yeah. Hmm.
And taking a moment to just breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
What emotions are coming up right now? How do we process whatever that is that's showing up in this moment? Giving that some space first
Hmm.
and just being present.
Hmm.
And once those emotions, once we've kind of processed through some of that, making sure that we have an action plan. Who do we report this
Yeah.
to? Who are the trusted folks? How do we get you some support moving forward?
Hmm.
And certainly based on the situation, there would be different pathways
Hmm.
to doing that. But I think cluing it, making sure they're safe first and that they've got that support they need, knowing that somebody is willing to stand next to them and
Hmm.
be
Yeah.
be their support as they explore whatever that action plan is really important.
So beautiful. Because I think when I'm for sure when it happened to me, and as I coach other people who've been through some like a physically threatening situation at work, it's so easy to internalize, oh, I did something wrong. I should have said this. I should have. It's so easy to make ourselves the problem, which just adds another layer of trauma. Already something very activating happened, and then we're blaming ourselves can just make it so painful. So I love how you prioritize the safety, give them space to say what happened. There's so much healing just by getting able to articulate what happened and then standing with them while they process and think about a strategy for next steps. So beautiful. Yeah. So for our audience, I just want, as we're describing, I think a lot of people will relate to this. When we say trauma happens in medicine, we're not talking about car accidents to physicians. We're talking about these daily events that happen, sometimes without us even notice. And so much of it comes through some type of shaming, which may be on rounds. It could be also as faculty asking for help or asking for a raise or requesting vacation, just kind of like the shaming pushback that comes back through. It happens every day, and there are ways to help with trauma-informed techniques. Beautiful, as Laurel just explained. So I love that there's a toolkit available and that this is being talked about out there. When you think about the concept of trauma-informed coaching, what does that mean to you? How is that different and it might not be any different at all than the traditional means that you're looking at in medicine right now? Or maybe it's the same thing.
From a coaching perspective, what I've learned through this training is a skill set to be more aware of what's happening in my body. And
Mm,
I think as I look back on some of these experiences and my response when I've activated in the past versus what I see now when I get activated
mhm,
is my awareness of those feelings in my body is different because
mm,
I'm allowing them and giving more permission. And I think, like I said before, I was quick to dismiss it. I'm going to compartmentalize this. I'll deal with it later, or this is just
mm,
normal. This
mhm,
is what it is to work in healthcare. And I think what I've learned through some of the coaching is that this isn't normal. And we have been taught in healthcare, at least as doctors through our medical training, that we are suppressing so many of our
mhm,
emotions and maybe visceral reactions to doing things. We do hard things to patients. We do surgeries and procedures and
mhm.
difficult things that we have to learn how to manage our emotions around. But I think we've extrapolated that and taken it into the personal space too. And that's where the coaching piece, I think, really brings us back to that awareness of ourselves and what we're feeling. and how
Mhm.
to, and giving us the skills to be able to navigate that in a
Yeah.
healthy way rather than ignoring it, pushing it off, and having it compound with all the other stressors
Mhm.
we're experiencing.
For sure. So now that you have this awareness with the body aspect of things, the feelings, the emotions, being able to take care of yourself, even when the workplace is trauma prone, what do you see as the benefits? Like, how is your life different now that you have these skills?
Um, my life is different in so many ways. Um, I think so this has really shown up for me, I think, in two ways, because this past year I went through a big shift in my role and was stepping down from a titled leadership position because I was ready for a change and was ready to grow and do new things in my career. Many unexpected things have happened along the way as we've worked through what that transition looks
Mhm.
like. And in those moments of grieving the change for
Mhm.
my career and the things that I had hoped would happen that didn't, I've been able to, I think, anchor in some of these skills in a way that I wouldn't have otherwise, that I may have. I think there's also some sense of maybe lack of success or lack of accomplishment when you give up a role and you're not being promoted into something else. I think we're always looking for that next
Mhm.
thing. But for me, the
Mhm.
shift was really being able to spend more time at home. And so I've had to do a lot of identity work that I actually want to be a mom, more mom than doctor right
Mhm.
now. And that's okay. There isn't titles or success or things wrapped up in, we have wrapped things up in that.
Mhm.
That I think I had some like negative perceptions. And so having this awareness and being able to shift using some of these skills has helped me kind of embrace where I am right
Mhm.
now and I've known in my gut the right path for my career, but
Mhm.
because it doesn't fit with what I think I should be doing, it felt like I was doing the wrong thing. And so these skills of being able to get out of my head, out of the logic,
Mhm.
sit with my gut and really feel in my heart what it is that I really want for my career right now and what I want for my personal life. And being able to sit back and say, look, I'm kind of in a blank slate here. I get to design this. And that's a really powerful place to be.
So powerful. I think in the busyness of medicine, sometimes it's even hard to realize like what is the thing we want, and then to also realize that it's possible and it may look different than the version of us at 20 years old who was starting medical school, who has had this idea of a career. It might look different further down the road. And my thinking about it is it should look different. Well, we want at 20, like we might not want the same thing. And that's probably a good thing if we have some flexibility around can we allow ourselves to define success for ourselves based on what we want? And can those wants change over time? I love the idea of they should change over time. And we should be defining success, but it is a very opposite way that we're taught and a very opposite way of how medicine's more top down. People tell you what to do. You get on the annual report, you're going to get what your goals are for the year. There's a lot of agency kind of taken away and through the training process. So how beautiful that you help people. You're being able to, on your own, recreate your identity and redefine success for you. So what is it that you want for your career and your life? Now that you have these skills and you realize you can decide, what does the rest of it look like for you, or at least the next part?
Yeah. So for right now, my career looks like part-time medicine and part-time coaching with some time. And that's the part-time with both of those, I've been able to rearrange that number of hours of where I'm spending my
Mhm.
time. And so I've been doing some hour, like I said, part-time medicine and part-time coaching. And the nice part is that this is really flexible because I get to choose when I do my clinical work. I'm setting some of my own hours right now, which is wonderful. And then I'm able to pour the rest of my energy into building this coaching practice so that I can help other women physicians accomplish what they want to in their careers and give them the support they need. But I've really intentionally built in white space for myself
Mm.
and for my family. So, for example, I take my kids to school and I come home and I start work after that. I am done in time to pick my youngest up from school. So I have kind of mid-afternoon times that
Yeah.
I'm finished, and that is driving my kids around into all of their many activities because
Yes.
that's where I want to be spending my time right now.
Yeah.
And I've protected some time on Fridays to socialize, and I've got a group of women that get
Mm.
together on Fridays at midday
Mm.
to play mahjong, actually. So I've said Fridays are my days to get stuff done
Wow.
around the house,
Yeah.
to enjoy time with friends.
Mm.
And it's been really fun to feel like I have space to do all the things that are important personally and professionally.
I love your schedule. It does sound like so much fun. What would you suggest? So let's say a client is working with you and they're newly to coaching. And so they're at the position maybe you were at the very beginning. They're full-time leaders. They are craving, they feel very called to have some white space in their calendar. What would be the smallest way they can start?
The smallest way they can start, I think, is to think about so one strategy that's worked for me is picking one thing you have to do today that you've been putting off.
Mhm.
That's that big thing taking up space in your
Yeah.
brain. What is one thing you have to do? Get that done. And then what is one thing you want to do today?
Mhm.
And whether that's personal or professional, but picking one thing that's kind of been looming large and picking one thing you want to do helps to balance out some of that stress and the joy. And if you're doing one thing in each of those categories every day, it
Mhm.
all adds up over time.
Yeah.
And you end up finding, oh, all these things I thought were going to take forever actually don't take that long. And now I have time to do the stuff I really want to do.
Yeah. Yes. I love, and if anyone for the listeners, definitely make sure you're following Laurel on LinkedIn because she drops so many useful pearls about how you can start right now, wherever you are, in walking yourself with trauma-informed techniques. And they have this very supportive, gentle approach of how you can start seeing changes like today. So I love that. Something we can all do. One thing I need to do, one thing I want to do. I love that. Okay, so we're seeing like the difference in your life. You're not, you went from full-time leader to part-time in medicine, part-time in coaching with white space, time for mahjong, take your kids to school. I mean, this is a dream, I think, for many, most physician women. Amazing. What could you tell us about the impact, if you've noticed, about the people around you, whether that be at work or at home?
So at work, I have been amazed by my team. They are so resilient and supportive.
Mhm.
I worried as I was stepping away from a leadership role that it would leave my team fragmented or kind of lost trying to figure out what's next. And what's beautiful is we've built an amazing group of people who love their jobs.
Yeah.
And I think for me, one of the best marks I always wanted to have as a leader was that I could disappear and nothing would fall apart. That was
Mm.
my goal, that if anything happened, I
Yeah.
think all of us feel this way. If anything happened, how does this keep going, even if I'm not here?
Yeah.
And amazingly, that's exactly what's happened. Is we have planned, we have made intentional choices, we've been very clear with communication, and my team still feels supported. They know they can call me anytime.
Mm.
I'm still kind of in an interim role, but we're making plans for someone to succeed me and to step up into this role. We're still working to hire. And the work goes on as usual. They're still doing a fabulous job taking care of everything that needs to be
Mm.
taken care of. And I think that's been a great learning lesson to me. I think I give myself, I think we all feel like we're carrying more weight or more responsibility
Mm.
than we actually are. And unless we can let that go and let other people really rise to the challenge, I don't think we're not using everybody's skills to the best. So
Mm. Wow.
I have enjoyed being able to see those changes in my team at work, and I'm so proud of them.
Wow.
At home, I've I would
Mhm.
say it just feels like I'm more present,
Mm.
that we're still running around and busy. I've got three children who are going in 10 different directions all the time. My husband and I both work, we're both physicians, so it's busy life, but it feels more joyful and more fun. and a little and less stressful, that we're just able to focus on the kids and be a little bit more present with their needs than we were previously.
So what we're seeing here, what I want the audience to kind of take in is this question, what if it's possible the thing I want is also best for everyone? That is reconfiguring your situation for part-time hours and your end time for part-time coaching and all the white space. Helped sounds like your team realize it's able not only able to function, but it's able to do well because you set it up that way. And also, home life is different, less stressful, more joyful, more fun. Still busy, but more fun. Yeah. What if what I want is best for everyone? I think that's such a powerful question or a point that you brought up here. Okay. Tell us about if you could summarize your experience in coach training, what was it like?
Coach training, I'll be honest, at first it was a little uncomfortable
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
one of the activities that we had to do was a lot of
Yeah.
reflecting and really, I think, having to be honest about what we were thinking and feeling and experiencing. And I think it's hard to be vulnerable in that way.
Mhm.
And sometimes laying your thoughts bare and looking at them honestly can be it's eye-opening, and I think in a good way, but it also feels a little stressful sometimes to be that vulnerable looking at yourself in that way. But I think the things that I loved most about coach training, one was the one-on-one time to be able to explore
Mm.
all of the things that I was going through and being able to get regular help. And it kept me accountable from month to month too, as I was working
Mm.
through
Mhm.
the different parts of the project and then also my own reflections through the transition. The other thing that I think made me branch out a little bit more were the somatic experiences that we had to submit every month,
Yeah,
trying to,
tell them what is a
yeah.
somatic experience?
So the somatic experiences were once a month we had to do something that kind of reconnected us to our bodies or promoted our own well-being. So going for a massage is something I've always done, and I love doing that. And so that was one of my experiences, but I also having to do several of them over the course of the months meant that I had to kind of think outside the box and try some new things.
Mm.
And I had to get a little, it's interesting trying to get a little creative thinking about or EDM therapy type options. I looked into equine therapy. I haven't actually done it, but I looked into it. But
Yeah, yeah.
one, I have a colleague who is a clinical aromatherapist, and so
Oh,
we
wow.
spent several weeks talking. She had some lotions and
Yeah,
sugar scrubs, different things that was really focusing on how I feel with different scents.
yeah.
Um, Going into a stressful meeting, she had a lotion that was like uplifting and kind of energizing. And so before going into difficult meetings, I'm like, okay, I'm going to use my lotion,
Oh,
I'm going to
good.
anchor
Yeah,
myself and breathe, take a minute, and then go do this tough thing. And I think it really gave me kind of a framework that I can take a moment, even if it's just a couple minutes.
yeah.
I can take 3 minutes and pause for myself,
Mhm. Mhm.
anchor in kind of center myself, I guess, before doing hard things. And it made everything so much easier to go into tough situations.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing the theme is, and I think this is true as trauma-informed techniques, is like where can we slow things down, be more present with ourselves, what we need in the moment, and then make decisions about what to do next. Have that moment to just check in what feels joyful to me, what feels supportive to me. Which in medicine, I think we're taught to be the opposite of like, what does everybody else need? How would I make everybody else happy? Where can I work harder for other people? Is that you're able to reverse the burnout and reverse all that stress by slowing it down and being more present for you.
Yeah. And I think even our busy clinical
Yeah.
schedules
Yeah.
don't allow us that breathing space even between patients. And so we just
Yeah.
get used to not taking it. And even
Mhm.
just a couple minutes is such a precious gift.
Yeah, I love that. So someone is listening who has 400 notes open and just hearing, you really could take 5 seconds between a patient to take a deep breath, or if you have the aromatherapy, like just to smell something beautiful and let that help you reset to start there. Okay, and about the vulnerability, it's true that that yes, I agree. And what I know just for other people to hear is that you never have to share more than you want. So if you decide like I don't want to do this or that, you never have to. But the strategic benefits of allowing yourself to be vulnerable with you to see maybe I don't want to be a leader. Maybe I do want to start my coaching practice. Like that vulnerability, maybe not with you don't have to do it with me, but with
Mhm.
yourself can be really beautiful because it's we have to see it before we can put it into the world. So, and having, I think having support there is important because some people will see it and they'll say, I'm not ready to leave medicine. And having support to say, you don't have to leave medicine right now. We're just going to see it's something on your radar and someday you may be there, but right now you're not. And there's nothing wrong with you for staying. For example, so, what would you say to someone who's considering coach training, who's nervous about being vulnerable? Like emotions are like, what are emotions? Because that was me before coaching. I was like,
Yep.
I have five emotions: rage, burnout, happiness. Like there was not much going on with knowledge, and vulnerability is not something we're taught in medicine. What would you offer to someone who's like, I'm nervous about vulnerability?
I would offer that if that's coming, if that as that comes up, to just think a little while about what's behind that. What are the thoughts? Whether you journal
Mhm.
or if you meditate or if you're just sitting in your kitchen thinking about it because you're deciding whether or not you want to sign up for this program, taking a minute to just kind of to breathe, take a few breaths and to really say, where is this coming from?
Mhm.
And I think once we kind of get behind it, so a lot of times it's just fear of doing something new. And like I said, we've talked a little bit about shame earlier. I think we have negative experiences sometimes
Yeah.
showing up as our authentic
Yeah.
selves
Yes.
and getting out, whether it's a socialized mindset or it's things we've acquired working in medicine, getting back to our authentic selves takes work.
Mhm.
And for me, at least, when I talk about being vulnerable, sometimes for me, it was kind of just admitting I don't want to keep doing what I've been doing and
Mhm.
worrying about kind of a sense of failure. It felt vulnerable to just say those
Yeah.
things out loud.
Yeah.
And so that's where I say, where is it kind of coming from? And in my, as I felt vulnerable along this journey, it was really kind of coming saying, well, actually, I kind of want to try doing something new. I'm just scared.
Yeah, I relate so much. So I did a trauma certification before and I went back and forth for years. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this because of everything you're speaking of. But then at some point I was like, I'm kind of tired of being scared of everything. Or like I'm exhausted by this fear of vulnerability. I'm ready for something new. And what's great about physician coach training is we anchor into safety so you can take it with you wherever you go if it's yourself or at the hospital. So I love that you brought that up. Okay, tell us about your mentored project. What did that involve?
My mentored project was revamping the coaching program that I had started a couple years ago.
Mhm.
We have rebranded. It is now called Audacious Medicine.
Love it.
And
Yeah.
I am offering one-on-one coaching sessions, a package of 5 sessions for women physicians. And the focus is on getting protected time and funding for your passion project because we know these projects amplify our voices as leaders and
Mm-hmm.
can help us advance our career
Yeah.
in the ways that matter most to us. And so I spent a lot of time kind of revamping, well, not just revamping, but
Mhm.
rethinking how I want to show up as a coach. And part of what I wanted personally was flexibility, the option to kind of use coaching when I wanted to. I love coaching programs, but it's not the kind of support that I want all the time. So I wanted to
Yeah.
be able to offer something to women physicians who maybe working on sort of a defined space and say, I need help right now to get through these things. Let's focus on that and then without having to necessarily participate in a whole program that had
Right.
requirements and learning and things like that.
Hmm.
And so that was part of getting comfortable with doing something that I haven't seen a whole lot of coaches offer. That it's usually like, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to do this program, you're going to learn these skills. And this is really, I want to be doing something that focuses back on the women
Yeah.
physicians and how do we get this project tackled? How do we help you move into a leadership position? How do we, you're having a tough
Mhm.
time at work with your team. How do we work through that? How do we equip you with the skills that you need to be successful in that moment that you're in right now and design something that really works for you on your terms?
Yeah. Beautiful. I think it's perfect. I agree. I haven't seen anything like before, which I think is perfect for women leaders who may want to just a focus support, like a sprint support or whatever for a project that they want help right now. Custom to them. I think it's amazing and perfect for your audience. So, what evolution did you see over the year or breakthroughs, if you want to look at it either way that you had
Um,
as you did
I
this?
think one breakthrough I think is just being willing to get myself out on social media
You're
and
doing
put some
such a
of
good
these
job, by
things
the way.
out
I love it. It's so good. What helped you do that?
there. So actually, the thought, what else am I going to do with my time right now was part of it.
Mm,
That I am building, I'm starting kind of from scratch. I have a network of some women physicians who are following me. But at the same time, if I
hmm.
want to be of service to others, I also want to have more fun and joy
Yeah.
in what I'm
Yeah.
doing. And
Mm,
so figuring out how to put that out there in a way that fits with who I am authentically, but also helps to give skills. I mean, these are the conversations that I don't think we have often enough in healthcare. And if there's a way to get that message out there more broadly, social media is it. And so getting over myself and my worries about my voice being out there,
mm,
I can't help other women physicians amplify their voice if I'm not willing to amplify my own. And so
mhm.
being able to recognize that we all have something important to say and just getting the message out there. There's somebody who needs to hear that little tidbit of information and we're all on social media in some capacity. So
Yeah.
it's a great tool.
Oh my gosh, that is so powerful. Let me just re-say that again. Is that this place of the transformation could be in sharing the message, just going on social media and sharing these conversations people are not having, but there's definitely suffering around. And thinking about the one person who this could really help today. And then the third thing was, how could this be fun and joyful? And also like creating something from scratch is like if you for creative people, that is fun and exciting. So beautiful. Anything else come up when you think about like as you watched your journey, breakthroughs that you learned or key moments of evolving or how physician coach training helps support you in your bringing this to where it is today?
Think the biggest evolution probably was just leaning into my own authentic self as a coach.
Mhm.
I've done a coach training before that was much more structured and regimented, and it felt comfortable because that's so much of how we approach medicine is structured and regimented, and this is how you do it. But it didn't feel as authentic to me when I was showing up and coaching previously. And so I think having these extra skills of the trauma informed piece, looking at some different frameworks, and just thinking about the skills in a little different way has
Mhm.
helped me feel like I'm more equipped and able to support people wherever they may be. Just like in palliative medicine, I think sometimes people tell us um, that what we do in palliative care is magic. We walk into the room and amazing, and those hard conversations that everyone else was struggling to have, all of a sudden we've been able to lean in and do it. But it's communication as a skill set
Yeah.
that we're taught in our
Mhm.
training. And it's just different than what we focus on in some other specialties. And I
Mhm.
think that we try to share in palliative care that we can equip anybody with these communication skills. That's the
Mm.
beauty, is
Yeah.
anybody can do this. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I've really taken away from this coach training is that this is just a unique skill set that anybody can learn.
Mhm.
And it's incredibly powerful when we share it with other people.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So here's the pearl that I just want to emphasize. Physician coaching skills, these trauma-informed skills we're talking about, these are leadership skills. These are human skills. These are like great patient. care skills. But that was my experience as well. When I was in medicine and I kept running up against leadership, it was these trauma-informed physician coaching skills that helped me just unpack all of it and find like clear paths forward. They're definitely leadership skills. So beautiful. Can you give us an example where these advanced physician coaching skills, you saw them improve your coaching skills?
Yeah, I think one example that comes to mind, actually every now and then, because I ran a program for women physicians at my organization across the system, every now and then I get phone calls um, that our peer support team said I
Okay.
should call you. I'm having trouble. And so these skills, I think just recently I got a call from a woman physician who was feeling overwhelmed and
Mm.
struggling, trying to make a decision. And I think before this training, I probably would have been more in the mode of advice giving
Mm.
rather than trying to help her, using these skills to help her. It was clear she was in distress. And so first thing we did, all right, are you in a safe place?
Mhm.
Let's look at these emotions. Let's figure out what's going on with you. And
Yeah.
certainly making sure, because of the intensity of the situation, I really wanted to make sure that she wasn't at risk, immediate risk that we
Right,
really
right.
needed to secure mental health support for. Um, but we were able to kind of, through kind of anchoring in these trauma-informed skills, able to process some of what she was going through,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
hard pieces of this, and have her come up with her own plan. She was
Mm.
calling me asking for advice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let's dig into this. What is it that's really going
Oh,
on?
so good.
How do we support you? And what is it that you feel like you need right now? And
Yeah.
once she was able to name those things, we were able to lean in to get her the support
Oh
that
my
she needed.
gosh. Your clients are so lucky to have you. I think that question when we're in distress is, what do you need most right now? We could start there for ourselves. Because once we identify that, it's sort of like you, when you realize I don't want to be a leader, I want to be, then we could just, then it becomes very simple. Now we just put it in place. What do you need most right now? It's a beautiful advanced physician coaching skill, trauma informed skill to be able to ask. Beautiful. Could you give us an example of what trauma-informed business building skills would look like? Because I don't think people put those two things together, but it's definitely something we emphasize in the program. Trauma-informed business coaching, business skills, what does that look like for you?
For me, I think I go back to the example of social media.
Yeah.
That was a place putting myself out there very publicly on social media. I say very publicly, it's not that public because there aren't that many people that in the large numbers. I do not have hundreds of thousands of followers. It is not very public, but that fear that I'm putting
Yes.
something out
Yes.
there that
Yeah.
everybody could see
Hmm.
is a little bit is very kind of activating. And so when I would find myself
Mm.
kind of in
Yeah.
that sympathetic activation, and it would either, well, I guess I kind of want to run away from it and be like, well, I just won't do it right now.
Hmm.
And so as we talked about some of those skills, finding that zone of genius,
Right.
kind
Hmm.
of around that, say my safe place. I'm anchored here. I know I can do these things. I have stuff I want to say, but how do I stretch just enough
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
feel comfortable that I am going to feel nervous doing this? But it's
Yeah.
not a reason not to do it. It's a reason for me to, one, feel comfortable with what I'm sharing,
Hmm.
and then if I want to get a little more audacious in what I put out there, I can work towards that. But finding that place where it both honors what I feel comfortable sharing, but maybe stretching a little bit in terms of where I share it or who I tag, and doing some things that are on the edge of that comfort zone has been a really helpful lesson as I'm so in the future when I bump into things, I'm like, this is scary. Well, where am I? What is it that's really scary about this?
Right.
Where am I really stretching? Or is this just my limiting belief and
Hmm. Hmm.
I need to work through it?
Beautiful example. So it's the idea of another way of saying what you just said, what I think is such a beautiful example of is being trauma informed with ourselves as we're putting ourselves out in a public space, if that's what we choose to do, is being able to see where we're scared, figure it out, and support ourselves, put some structure in place to support, making it safe to grow in whatever way you choose to grow. Yeah. Beautiful. What about, I'm curious about, because I felt like I just saw so much happen for you in the 10K and 30-day challenge, which is one of the courses we have in there that kind of plays on our marketing frameworks and messaging frameworks to try to make it fun. What was your experience like of that?
It was a really fun month. And I appreciated having something different to think about each day
Mhm.
because I didn't have to come up with all the ideas on my own. And I could pick and choose what I felt comfortable putting out there. And it's really interesting. I think this was that month was kind of an example for me of when we put ourselves out there and we start speaking into the universe that this is what I do, this is the
Yeah.
service that I offer, people will come to you.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was I have wonderful people supporting me in this space that I was invited to give a talk at
Amazing.
another organization. I
Amazing.
interacted with clients. I've had really great conversations with people who've seen both some of the content that I've put out, but then also found me through just kind of network of relationships. And once I started saying, I'm a coach, this is what I
Yeah.
offer, they were
Right.
like, oh, I know people who need this. Let me start connecting you with these people. Share it.
Amazing.
How do we get in touch with you? And so putting it out there was just really powerful and it was really a lot of fun.
Amazing. It is as simple as that. That's one of the philosophies we have is that there are people in all of our, for any coach, there are people just watching and loving what you're doing and waiting for an invitation. And when we start putting it out there, like it creates what starts as vulnerability actually is a thing that creates the results that you love. People love sensing, right? When someone's being vulnerable with their share, or they're sharing a story, or one thing, hard thing a day, one thing you want a day, like these kinds of things would require us to share our vulnerability is what resonates so much with our future clients or the people who have impact by it. Amazing. Okay. So as we reflect your year, when I ask you what was your favorite part about this year in physician coach training, what stands
I
out?
think one of the main things that stands out is the building of relationships. And this is one of the reasons I think I love group programs is you get to meet people that you've never met before and grow with them over the course of several months where even though you've never met in person, you have this shared experience that brings you into a relationship in a way that you don't just get by meeting somebody at work or interacting with
Mhm.
somebody, at a conference professionally. It's a whole different enjoyable
Mm,
experience. And so I have really enjoyed seeing the work that the other women physicians in the group are doing. We have been built a great network of peer support, and those relationships are ongoing even after the course ends, which I think is
yeah.
just really special relationships. And
Mhm.
the skills are great, the one-on-one coaching is great, the personal growth is great. But when you have that network to keep championing you and cheerleading for you, even
Yeah.
after the certification
Yeah.
program is finished, that's really powerful.
Yeah. It's forever.
It's
It's just something
forever.
doesn't contain within a program. It says like when your heart like becomes one, like you make all these girlfriend relationships, those are forever. You get to keep them forever. I do too. I
Yeah.
love that about group. Okay, if you look back at your year, did anything surprise you?
I'm surprised that I am where I am right now. It feels
Such
like
a
it's
good
been a
sign.
very long year and lots of changes. But at the same time, I think I had been putting off doing what I knew I needed to do for so
Mhm.
long that now that I'm here, well, it's not as big and scary as I've made it out to be,
Isn't that
first
good
of
to
all.
know? I love it.
And it feels really great to be. I feel like I have my agency back
Mhm.
in, and that I'm taking control of choices that I had kind of just left to, well, I'll just keep slogging
Mm.
away. I'll just keep pushing through, but without really thinking it through. And so I think
Mm.
that's one of the main things that stands out is that I'm we have so much more control, I think, than we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah. How powerful. Yes. And when you were able to see these are the things I can influence, plus the vulnerability, and this is what I want. I mean, it was sort of like a math equation. I want this. Here's what I can influence equals. Now you have this all this white space. Time for coaching, time to take your kids to school, time for mahjong, time for the after school stuff. Amazing. What a beautiful like secret formula of life. Seeing what we want, plus adding some skills and support. Okay. If now that when you look back, what were your reservations about joining, and what would you tell yourself, your younger self, now that you've been through this?
Well, I'll be honest, I really didn't
You can
have
be
any
honest.
reservations about joining
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
because I had put off getting coaching for a while. And I knew you've done Black Friday specials
Mhm.
before, and it was Black Friday. I was at work. I texted my husband and I was like, look, I need coaching.
Wow.
This is who I want it from.
Mm.
I get it there. She has a Black Friday deal that expires tonight. I'm gonna buy it, okay? And it was, I think I had my reservation after I would like hit purchase, and I was like, oh, what did I just sign up for? And as I started looking
Yeah.
into it, it was like one of those moments where it was like when you hit kind of a crisis moment, and you're like, I'm just gonna do this thing. And then you start realizing, oh, this was exactly what I didn't know I needed. And
Mm.
it was a perfect fit. So I really didn't have any reservations. It was, I don't want to say an
Yeah.
impulse
Yeah.
because I knew I wanted coaching and I knew I
Yeah.
wanted to work with
Yeah.
you. But the whole experience of what trauma-informed coaching ended up being was exactly what I
Mm.
needed, even though I hadn't been able to name it.
Isn't that interesting? So, what I would say is it wasn't impulsive at all. You had an instinct and your intuition was telling you, and it really was your first transformation. And then the rest of the year, we just kept connecting with your intuition and your instinct. What is it that your body, what is it that your soul is calling you? Let's do that. Incredible. I love it. Yeah. Okay, but I'm just curious. How did husband say when you're like, I'm doing this, I need this, it's Black Friday? What was his response? Can you?
Well, he was okay with it. I had been telling him for a little
Yeah.
while
Okay.
that I
Okay.
wanted to get back in with
Yeah.
a coach and I needed support. And so we had talked through it and
I love
he was very
husbands.
supportive. Yes.
I love husbands. My husband's always the same way too. He's always like, if you think you need it. And I think for at least for us, he knows whatever work I do always benefits the marriage. So when he sees like, oh, Christina wants to do some work, this is going to make our marriage better. He's like, yes, let's. I love that. Okay. All right. So last things are some people, when I've done sales calls for physician coach training, a lot of the things that come up are, well, I don't know if I want to do a business. I'm interested in learning trauma-informed tools. I'm interested in and feeling like I'm not daily being traumatized at work every day. I like that part, but I don't think I want to be have a business. Is this place for me? What would you say?
Absolutely. You do not need to have a business to learn these skills. And I think one of my philosophies in leadership is that leadership is for everyone. You do
Mm,
not need a title. If you have a seat in a chair, if you are a doctor, you are a leader in so many different capacities, whether it's with your patients, with your team, with your community. We are recognized as, I guess we have a role. Let me say it, we have a role to play in that I don't think we always lean into as much as we
mm,
could.
mhm,
And I think these trauma-informed skills are so universally applicable to whatever your practice looks like, whatever your team looks like, and even to your family,
mhm.
that this is a skill set we can apply no matter what we're doing. And you do not need a business to be able to tap into that opportunity.
I 100% agree. Okay, what's next for you? We're going to imagine we're zooming ahead 12 months. It's November 2026. What will we be celebrating 1 year from now?
Okay. We will be celebrating the Audacious Medicine Collaborative.
Ooh, I love it. Tell us more.
I am working on trying to create a collaborative space for women physicians to come
Mhm.
together to have kind of longitudinal and peer support where we can do some learning
Yeah.
about, well, anything that's relevant to women physicians as they move into leadership, whether it's their passion projects, time management, self-compassion, some of these
Mm.
trauma-informed skills,
Yeah.
a place where we can come together and build community and do a little bit of learning, a little bit of
Yeah.
coaching, but be able to do it kind of longitudinally. I'm looking at this as kind of a membership
Hmm.
opportunity that
Hmm.
people can come into and out of whenever they need that kind of support or stay in for the long haul and be supportive. And I think one of the things that's led me to kind of think through this is as I'm winding down my time as a titled leader, I had a hard time even while I was in leadership role. I think we have sometimes it's a little bit lonely and we don't have a network and a
Mm.
community.
Yeah.
And now as I'm winding down, I'm like, I have a decade of experience that is valuable to people who are moving into the leadership space. And I would love to create a place where people are launching as leaders, where they're in their space and their role and
Yeah.
leading, and then for folks to help them have a gentle landing and
Mm.
as they're coming out of leadership roles, because that whole
Mm. Yeah.
trajectory is something that we just don't have a lot of space to explore and support each other in. And those of us who are outgoing have so much wisdom to share
Yeah.
with those who are incoming to create a place for those things to interact, I think is will be a lot of fun to try to create.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. Tell us anything else. Anything else that we didn't get to that you wanted to share?
I don't think so. Thank
Okay.
you for helping me say out loud this little dream I've been working on.
It's
And in
a
1 year, we'll see where we are.
I can't wait to celebrate that with you. And it is a massive dream. I think these are the things that change medicine. People like you are the reason medicine is changing for the better. Takeaways that I want to end with, and then we're going to go to like how can people work with you one-on-one or in group or part of your collaborative or whatever else, how they can connect with you is leadership doesn't have to be lonely. Every woman physician is a leader. Medicine doesn't have to be traumatic. There's a possible to have a gentle landing place and support through one's whole career, whole leadership arc from beginning, middle, and transitioning out. I think that's magical. I think the work you do saves lives. It helps families become more intact. It's what's changing the world for the better. Medicine is changing because of this work that you're doing for the better. So, how could people work with you?
Well, you can find me at Positive Spin Doctor. It's positivespindr.com. That's my website, and
Okay.
there's links there to work with me. I'm also on LinkedIn under my name, Laurel Kilpatrick, and on Facebook. My page is Audacious Medicine, or you can find my personal page at Laurel Kilpatrick.
Amazing. Any client who gets to work with you is incredibly lucky. Thank you for sharing your journey and your story with us. And we cannot wait to celebrate you in 12 months for your Audacious Medicine Collaborative and all the other things that come.
Well, thank you. I'm so grateful for your support and all of the wonderful things you do to help women physicians too. This is an amazing space to be in.
Thank you, Laurel.